These modern nickels look ordinary, but a tiny minting detail can make all the difference. Welcome back to Change Your Life. Today, we're taking a closer look at 3 Jefferson nickels that collectors still examine carefully. 2014 P. Jefferson Nickel. 2015 P. Jefferson Nickel. 2016 P. Jefferson Nickel. Featuring the iconic Monticello reverse design and a copper-nickel composition, these coins are found in everyday circulation. Yet some examples stand out because of mint errors, die varieties, and unusual characteristics that collectors search for. Stay until the end, the last coin has a surprising detail you won't want to miss. Let's begin with coin number 1. Have you ever reached into your pocket after buying a cup of coffee or emptied the change from your car center console and noticed a modern Jefferson nickel? Most people glance at the date for only a second before spending it again. But for coin collectors across the United States, even a recent coin like the 2014 P. Jefferson Nickel deserves a closer look. While millions were made for everyday commerce, certain examples, exceptional conditions, and genuine mint errors continue to attract collector interest. The story behind this 5-cent coin is about much more than its face value. It's a story of American history, architecture, craftsmanship, and the legacy of one of the nation's founding fathers. The 2014 P. Jefferson Nickel was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest minting facilities in the United States. The small P mint mark, located on the obverse to the right of Thomas Jefferson's portrait, identifies its place of origin. Although modern nickels are common in circulation, they still represent an important chapter in American coinage, serving millions of people every day in stores, restaurants, parking meters, and vending machines. The year 2014 marked another chapter in a rapidly changing America. Smartphones had become part of everyday life, electronic payments were growing in popularity, and online shopping continued to reshape consumer habits. Even with these changes, coins remained an essential part of the economy. Every Jefferson nickel struck in Philadelphia was designed to withstand years of circulation while continuing a tradition that began decades earlier. The Jefferson Nickel series first entered circulation in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. The United States Mint wanted a new design that honored one of America's most influential leaders, Thomas Jefferson, the nation's third president and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. Jefferson believed that liberty, education, and representative government were essential to a free nation. His influence extended far beyond politics. He was also an architect, inventor, diplomat, and passionate supporter of science and agriculture. His ideas helped shape the young United States, making him one of the most significant figures in American history. The portrait on the obverse of the 2014 P. Jefferson Nickel is based on the modern design introduced in 2006 by sculptor Jamie Franke. Unlike earlier versions, this portrait presents Jefferson facing forward at a slight angle with a more natural expression. The inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the year 2014 complete the obverse design. Turn the coin over, and you will find one of America's most recognizable historic homes, Monticello. Monticello was Jefferson's plantation home near Charlottesville, Virginia. Designed largely by Jefferson himself, it reflects his deep interest in architecture, classical design, and innovation. Construction and improvements continued for decades as Jefferson refined nearly every detail of the estate. The reverse of the 2014 Jefferson Nickel features a detailed image of Monticello with the inscriptions E Pluribus Unum, Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America. This design honors not only Jefferson's presidency but also his remarkable contributions as a thinker and architect. For many Americans, Monticello represents the complexity of the nation's early history. It symbolizes creativity, education, and the ideals expressed in the Declaration of Independence, while also reminding visitors of the broader historical realities of the era. Because of this rich historical connection, the Jefferson Nickel remains much more than an ordinary 5-cent coin. The 2014 P. Jefferson Nickel was struck in large numbers to meet the needs of circulation. With hundreds of millions produced, most examples found in pocket change today are common. However, collectors understand that rarity is not determined by mintage alone. Condition makes an enormous difference. A heavily circulated example often shows flattened details on Jefferson's hair and coat. The highest points of the portrait gradually lose definition after years of contact with other coins. On the reverse, Monticello may appear softer, especially around the steps, columns, and dome. Small scratches, contact marks, and dull surfaces are all common on nickels that have spent years in everyday use. These worn examples usually remain worth their face value or only a small premium depending on condition and collector demand. These values are estimates, not guarantees, because coin markets change over time. Collectors pay special attention to coins that survive in outstanding condition. Examples graded around MS63 through MS65 often retain strong mint luster with relatively few marks. Coins certified as MS66, MS67, or higher become increasingly difficult to locate because modern circulation coins frequently receive numerous contact marks during production, transportation, and everyday use. Another reason collectors examine modern nickels carefully is the possibility of genuine mint errors. A doubled die may display noticeable doubling on parts of the lettering, date, or design created during die production. A double die reverse can affect details of Monticello or surrounding inscriptions. An off-center strike occurs when the blank planchet is not properly positioned before striking, leaving part of the design missing. A die crack appears as a raised line caused by a fractured die that continued striking coins. A die clash results when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, creating unusual transferred design elements. A broad strike happens when the retaining collar fails, allowing the coin to spread beyond its normal diameter. On very rare occasions, a Jefferson nickel may even be struck on the wrong planchet, producing an unusual and highly collectible error. If you discover a 2014 P. Jefferson nickel, begin with a careful inspection. First, confirm the P mint mark beside Jefferson's portrait. Weigh the coin using a precise digital scale. A standard modern Jefferson nickel should weigh approximately 5.00 grams. Next, examine the rim to ensure it is complete and evenly formed. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to inspect the date, lettering, Jefferson's portrait, and the details of Monticello for signs of doubling, die cracks, or other unusual characteristics. Pay close attention to the steps of Monticello. Collectors often appreciate examples with strong architectural detail because they indicate a sharper strike and better preservation. Most 2014 P nickels will simply be honest circulation coins that served their purpose in the American economy. But experienced collectors know that remarkable discoveries often begin with ordinary-looking change. The 2014 P. Jefferson nickel reminds us that modern coins still tell meaningful stories. It connects today's Americans with one of the nation's founding fathers, celebrates a masterpiece of American architecture, and demonstrates the craftsmanship of the United States Mint. Whether your nickel is bright from careful storage or dark and worn from years of circulation, it represents another chapter in the ongoing history of American coinage. And while the 2014 P issue continues the long tradition of the Jefferson Nickel series, the next coin takes us 1 year forward to another Philadelphia issue, the 2015 P Jefferson Nickel, where new collector discoveries, fresh minting details, and another piece of American history await. Imagine receiving a handful of change after paying for lunch and finding a clean-looking 2015 Jefferson Nickel mixed in with the other coins. Most people would barely notice it before slipping it back into their wallet. To a coin collector, however, that same 5-cent coin is another opportunity to study modern United States coinage, search for unusual mint errors, and appreciate a design that has represented American history for generations. The 2015 P. Jefferson Nickel was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the most important coin-producing facilities in the United States. The small P mint mark, located on the obverse beside Thomas Jefferson's portrait, identifies where the coin was made. Although 2015 feels like recent history, these nickels have already spent years circulating through American businesses, vending machines, banks, restaurants, and grocery stores. Every scratch and worn surface tells the story of countless everyday transactions. The Jefferson Nickel remains one of the longest-running coin series produced by the United States Mint. Introduced in 1938, it replaced the famous Buffalo nickel with a completely new design honoring Thomas Jefferson, America's third president. The decision reflected Jefferson's enormous influence on the nation's political philosophy and democratic foundations. Jefferson believed that an informed public was essential for liberty. His writings helped shape the ideals that continue to influence American government today. Beyond politics, Jefferson studied architecture, agriculture, science, languages, and engineering. Few historical figures demonstrated such a wide range of interests. That broad legacy is one reason his portrait continues to appear on the nation's 5-cent coin. The modern obverse features the forward-facing portrait designed by Jamie Franke, introduced in 2006. Jefferson's calm expression creates a more personal appearance than earlier portraits, while the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and "The Year 2015" complete the design. The reverse displays Monticello, Jefferson's historic Virginia home. Designed with remarkable architectural precision, Monticello became one of the most recognizable residences in American history. Jefferson spent decades planning, redesigning, and improving the estate, applying ideas he admired from classical European architecture while adapting them to American conditions. Today, Monticello remains one of the country's most visited historic homes. Its appearance on the Jefferson Nickel reminds collectors that American coinage often celebrates achievements beyond military victories or political office. It honors creativity, education, architecture, and intellectual curiosity. The 2015 P. Jefferson Nickel was struck using a composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it excellent durability for daily circulation. Modern nickels are designed to survive years of handling while maintaining recognizable details. Hundreds of millions of these coins entered circulation. Because of this high production, most 2015 P nickels found today are common. Yet experienced collectors understand that high mintage does not automatically mean every surviving example is identical. Condition always matters. Many 2015 nickels entered circulation immediately after leaving the mint. As they moved through cash registers, vending machines, and coin-counting equipment, they gradually developed contact marks, scratches, and worn high points. A heavily circulated coin often shows smoother details on Jefferson's hair, forehead, cheek, and coat. On the reverse, the steps, columns, and dome of Monticello may lose sharpness after years of use. The fields can become dull, and the original mint luster usually fades with continued circulation. These worn examples generally remain worth their face value or a modest collector premium depending on their condition and demand. These prices are estimates, not guarantees, because collector markets change over time. Collectors become especially interested when a 2015 P. Jefferson Nickel survives in exceptional condition. Examples graded around MS63 through MS65 often display attractive mint luster and relatively few distracting marks. Higher certified grades such as MS66, MS67, and above become increasingly difficult to locate because modern coins frequently receive contact marks during transportation and storage before they ever reach circulation. Strongly struck examples with well-defined full steps on Monticello may receive additional attention from specialists, since complete architectural detail is more difficult to preserve. Modern Jefferson nickels are also carefully examined for genuine mint errors. A double die obverse may show noticeable doubling on the date, lettering, or Jefferson's portrait. A double die reverse may affect the inscriptions surrounding Monticello. An off-center strike occurs when the blank planchet shifts before striking, leaving part of the design missing. A die crack appears as a raised line caused by a damaged working die. A die clash happens when the dies strike together without a coin blank between them, leaving faint transferred design elements. A broad strike occurs when the collar does not properly contain the coin during striking, allowing it to spread beyond its normal dimensions. Although uncommon, a wrong planchet error can also occur if the coin is struck on a blank intended for another denomination. These genuine mint errors often attract considerable collector interest because they provide insight into the minting process itself. If you own a 2015 Jefferson Nickel, begin with a careful inspection. First, confirm the P mint mark. Next, weigh the coin using a precise digital scale. A normal example should weigh approximately 5.00 grams. Use a magnifying glass to inspect the date, lettering, Jefferson's portrait, and the details of Monticello. Look carefully for doubling, unusual raised lines, off-center alignment, or other characteristics that differ from a standard strike. Pay special attention to the steps beneath Monticello. Sharper step detail often reflects a stronger strike and better overall preservation, qualities appreciated by many collectors. Most 2015 nickels will remain ordinary circulation coins with no significant premium beyond face value. Even so, every coin deserves a second look. Coin collecting is built on patience, observation, and curiosity. Many remarkable discoveries have been made simply because someone decided to inspect an ordinary coin before spending it. The 2015 Jefferson Nickel represents another link between modern America and its early history. It honors Thomas Jefferson's vision, celebrates one of the nation's architectural treasures, and continues a coin series that has remained in American pockets for generations. And while this Philadelphia issue carries forward that tradition, one final chapter remains. Next, we'll examine the 2016 Jefferson Nickel, another modern issue that proves even today's pocket change can hold fascinating stories for collectors willing to look closely. Every day, thousands of Americans receive Jefferson Nickels in change without giving them a second thought. A 5-cent coin is easy to overlook, especially in a world where digital payments have become part of everyday life. But to dedicated coin collectors, every date tells a story, and the 2016 Jefferson Nickel represents another fascinating chapter in the long history of American coinage. Although it is a modern circulation coin, it still deserves a careful examination because condition, strike quality, and genuine mint errors can make certain examples far more interesting than their face value suggests. The 2016 Jefferson Nickel was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, carrying the familiar P mint mark beside Thomas Jefferson's portrait. By 2016, the United States Mint had spent decades refining modern coin production, combining advanced technology with traditional craftsmanship to produce coins capable of surviving years of circulation. America in 2016 was experiencing rapid technological change. Contactless payments, smartphone banking, and online shopping continued to grow, yet millions of Jefferson Nickels still moved through grocery stores, coffee shops, vending machines, parking meters, and banks every single day. Despite changing payment habits, the nickel remained one of the country's most frequently used circulation coins. The Jefferson Nickel series had already celebrated nearly 8 decades of production. Since replacing the Buffalo nickel in 1938, it has honored Thomas Jefferson, whose influence reaches far beyond his presidency. Jefferson authored the Declaration of Independence, negotiated the Louisiana Purchase, encouraged scientific exploration, and believed deeply in education, agriculture, and democratic government. His vision helped transform a young republic into a growing nation with enormous potential. Because of those achievements, the United States Mint continues to honor him on the nation's 5-cent coin. The obverse of the 2016 Jefferson Nickel features the modern portrait created by Jamie Franke. Unlike earlier profile portraits, this design presents Jefferson facing slightly toward the viewer, creating a more lifelike appearance. The inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and 2016 surround the portrait, completing the clean and recognizable design that Americans see every day. The reverse continues to display Monticello, Jefferson's famous Virginia estate. More than just a beautiful building, Monticello reflects Jefferson's lifelong passion for architecture and innovation. Inspired by classical European styles, he personally refined the design throughout much of his life, creating one of America's most famous historic homes. The image on the reverse reminds collectors that American coins often celebrate ideas as much as individuals. Monticello represents creativity, knowledge, and careful planning, qualities Jefferson believed were essential for the nation's future. The 2016 P. Jefferson Nickel is struck from an alloy of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving the coin strength and resistance to everyday wear. This composition has served the Jefferson Nickel series well for decades, allowing millions of coins to remain in circulation year after year. Production numbers for the 2016 P issue were substantial because the United States Mint needed to meet nationwide demand for circulating nickels. As a result, most examples found today are common. However, experienced collectors understand that a common date can still become desirable when preserved in exceptional condition. A heavily circulated 2016 P. Jefferson Nickel often displays smooth high points on Jefferson's portrait, especially around the hair, cheek, and coat. On the reverse, Monticello's columns, steps, and dome may lose their crisp detail after years of handling. Small scratches, bag marks, and dull surfaces are common on coins that have spent years moving through circulation. These well-used examples generally remain worth their face value, although attractive circulated coins may receive a small premium from collectors completing date and mint collections. These values are estimates, not guarantees, because collector demand and market conditions can change. Coins preserved in mint state tell a different story. Examples graded MS63 through MS65 often retain strong original luster and relatively clean surfaces. At MS66, MS67, and higher, the number of surviving examples decreases considerably because modern nickels frequently acquire marks before reaching the public. Collectors also appreciate coins with sharply defined full steps on the Monticello reverse. Complete step detail usually indicates an especially strong strike and careful preservation, making these coins more desirable within the Jefferson Nickel series. Modern Jefferson Nickels are also examined closely for genuine mint errors. A double die obverse may show noticeable doubling on the date or lettering. A double die reverse can affect Monticello or surrounding inscriptions. An off-center strike occurs when the blank planchet is not correctly positioned before striking. A die crack appears as a raised line caused by a fractured working die. A die clash results when the dies strike one another without a planchet between them. A broad strike happens when the collar fails to contain the coin during striking. Very rarely, collectors may also encounter a wrong planchet error, where the design is struck on a blank intended for another denomination. Although these errors are uncommon, they demonstrate why careful examination remains one of the most rewarding parts of coin collecting. If you have a 2016 P. Jefferson Nickel, begin by confirming the P mint mark beside Jefferson's portrait. Next, weigh the coin using a reliable digital scale. A standard example should weigh approximately 5.00 grams. Inspect both sides under magnification. Look closely at the lettering, the date, Jefferson's portrait, and the architectural details of Monticello for signs of doubling, die cracks, unusual strike quality, or other minting abnormalities. Pay special attention to the steps beneath Monticello. Sharp, uninterrupted steps often indicate a stronger strike and better preservation, qualities that many Jefferson Nickel specialists appreciate. Most 2016 P. Jefferson Nickels will simply be honest circulation coins that faithfully served millions of Americans. Yet every collector knows that remarkable discoveries often begin with an ordinary coin found in everyday change.